when they disappear. No tears for black girls, like they were never here. But we remember, we'll speak their names.
Welcome back to No Tears for Black Girls. This is Samantha Paul. Today, we have a special treat for you, an exclusive chapter reading from the latest installment in our No Tears for Black Girls series on Amazon Kindle. The book, No Tears for Black Girls, Prison Pimp'd, written by our show's creator, J.C. Reedburg, is available now for free download. After today, it will only be free for Amazon Kindle users. Like all our books, this story draws from real-life cases we've covered on this podcast, though we've altered names, timelines, and locations to protect everyone's privacy. Our story unfolds in Gwinnett County, Georgia, just 30 miles from Atlanta. Within the stark concrete walls of Phillips State Correctional Facility, survival isn't about brute strength but cunning strategy. Dejuan Rivers, a character first introduced in Book 1, The Price of Silence, a No Tears for Black Girls story, is a master manipulator who has transformed his cramped 6x8 cell into the nerve center of a criminal empire that extends far beyond the prison gates. Armed with nothing more than persuasive letters, contraband cigarettes, and a keen understanding of psychological warfare, Dejuan has woven a complex web of desperate women on the outside. Each believes she is the only one who truly understands him, the only one he confides in. Sandra dutifully sends money orders. Keisha wires cash without question. Patricia risks it all to smuggle in phones, and Valerie pleads for his help in finding her lost child. They all believe they have a special connection with him, but the truth is, they don't even know of each other's existence. It's a delicate house of cards, and when the women start asking too many questions and the guards grow increasingly suspicious, Dejuan's carefully constructed world begins to teeter on the brink of collapse. In a place where every interaction is a calculated transaction and trust can be a fatal mistake, a single misstep could bring everything he's built crashing down around him. No Tears for Black Girls, Prison Pimp'd, by J.C. Reedburg. Chapter 1. The Monster's Appetite. The cell isn't big enough for two men to stand upright at once, but Dejuan Rivers has never needed much room to run a business. He's converted 12B into a miniature post office, stock exchange, and complaint department, all within arm's reach of the scarred steel desk that doubles as his command center. On the left, neat towers of ramen bricks, tuna cans, peanut butter cups, and single-serving hot sauces. On the right, two battered spiral notebooks filled with crabbed handwriting, dog-eared at strategic points. Dead center, spread with the reverence of a blackjack dealer, are piles of wrinkled cash, 5s and 10s on top, 20s and up underneath, pressed flat between sheets of toilet tissue to keep the count clean. Little Mike hovers at the door, his back to the bars, head cocked to catch every change in the corridor. He taps a rhythm on the cold metal with a single black painted fingernail. On the second pass of the guard, Mike murmurs, 5 minutes. Dejuan doesn't answer, just keeps counting bills. When he hits 200, he stops, peels a 20, and makes a note in the notebook. The code is unbreakable unless you know the Rivers system. Columns for inmate numbers, check marks for debts paid, X's for favors owed, stars for outside contacts. Next to some names, a small smiley face, drawn with ruthless precision. He closes the ledger, stands, and turns the mattress with a single practiced flip. A zipper, invisible to the untrained eye, runs the length of the foam. Inside, a vacuum-sealed pouch of cigarettes, a slim phone and a condom, and a roll of quarters wrapped in black electrical tape. He tucks the new cash behind the cigarettes, zips the mattress, and makes the bed. His hands never shake. The toilet tank is next. He pops the lid, removes a heavy plastic false back, and deposits a sandwich bag of white powder, followed by a flattened packet of prescription pills. He wipes the rim, replaces the fake panel, flushes twice to settle the water. Little Mike watches every movement, eyes flat and unreadable. Someone's coming. Light, quick footsteps, too careful to be a guard. Dejuan glances at Mike, who nods once and steps aside. The runner is a bony kid with eczema scars up both forearms. He keeps his hands deep in the pockets of his orange pants and doesn't look directly at Dejuan. Instead, he stares at the ceiling, breathing hard through his nose. Dejuan holds up a palm. Stop. The kid freezes. Who sent you? Dejuan asks. Floyd, the kid says, voice tight. You got a name or just a face? Hawk. Dejuan waits. When the kid doesn't elaborate, he nods. You know what you're here for? Hawk's gaze drifts to the commissary pile. He swallows. He said a drop. Dejuan nods to Mike, who pulls a plastic-wrapped package from the mattress seam and hands it over. It's heavier than it looks, and the kid's hand trembles when he takes it. You leave it at the southwest fence, Dejuan says, enunciating every syllable. There's a drainage gap behind the last yard tower. 2:15 sharp. Don't get cute. Hawk nods, then turns to go. Wait, Dejuan says. You see anyone new in the yard this morning? The kid shakes his head too fast. Just the usual. Good. Dejuan makes a note in the ledger, then waves Hawk out. Little Mike slides the door shut, double-checks the latch. He'll drop it. But if it's not there by 2:15? Dejuan shrugs, unconcerned. If it's not, Floyd gets nothing next week. He knows that. Mike watches him, a flicker of admiration behind the deadpan. You really trust these kids? I trust the system, Dejuan says. He opens the ledger, flips to the back page, and makes a series of marks. People are predictable when you keep the incentives lined up. Mike paces, restless. What about the new CO? The one with the beard? He's a watcher, not a buyer. Harmless unless you're an idiot. Dejuan says it like he's already factored this variable, discounted it to 0. He sits, slides the notebook under the mattress, and lets the silence fill the cell. The air is thick with old sweat and ramen spice, but he doesn't seem to notice. Next, he says, voice carrying down the corridor. Within a minute, a new runner shows, a white kid with a homemade tattoo of a $sign on the back of his hand. He doesn't speak, just hands over a folded paper and waits. Dejuan unfolds it, reads the message, and smiles. He pulls 2 packets of instant coffee from the stash, tosses them to the kid, and scribbles something on the paper before folding it back. The kid vanishes as fast as he arrived. Little Mike grins, leaning in. You really running all this by yourself? Dejuan looks up, gold teeth flashing. You think I'm alone? He flicks a finger toward the barred window, where a pair of inmates on the yard stand smoking and pretending not to watch the tower. Dejuan's subtle hand signal, a single slow wave, sends them moving, splitting in opposite directions along the fence. You put the pieces in the right place, Dejuan says. The board handles itself. Mike shakes his head, half in awe, half in fear. What if they catch you? Dejuan's smile never fades. If they catch me, I'll be in better company than I am now. He stands, stretches, and surveys the cell like a man assessing an empire. He cracks his knuckles, savoring the sound. Time for count, he says, and sits at the desk, hands folded in front of him. As the guards make their rounds, little Mike stands at parade rest. Dejuan's face is pure calm. He stares at the reflection in the stainless mirror above the sink and sees not a prisoner, but a CEO in a very tight market. The runner makes the drop at 2:15 on the dot. Dejuan doesn't look out the window, but he knows the sound of success. A bird call from the yard, followed by a chorus of laughter from the Aryans at the pull-up bars. He makes a final note in the ledger, then closes it gently. All debts settled. All favors accounted for. He leans back, eyes closed, and listens to the distant hum of the yard. This is what legacy feels like. Sandra Molinas keeps her apartment like a surgical suite. Counters wiped down with lemon cleaner every night, floors mopped to a hospital shine, and the fridge stripped of leftovers every Sunday before the city's sour dawn. There are no family photos on the walls, just a single bulletin board by the kitchen table, crowded with sheets of lined paper folded into tight squares and pinned in careful rows. Most people would mistake them for recipes or shopping lists. Sandra knows better. She sits at the table, hands clasped, as if expecting a meal. Outside, the corridor hums with the neighbor's television and the scream of a baby that never seems to sleep. The air in her apartment is still, trapped in the window's double panes. She lights a votive candle, St. Jude, blue wax, and reads the newest letter, working the creases out with her thumb. She reads aloud, the words filling the sterile quiet. Sandra, thank you for believing me, even when nobody else will. Some days, your letters are the only reason I remember who I am. The script is blocky but elegant, a cop's hand slowed down for civilian inspection. She can hear his voice as she reads, deep and steady, notched at the edges with apology. Today was hard. The guards lost a shipment, so the whole wing went on lockdown. They treat us like animals when the cameras are off. I keep my head down, like you said. I remember what you wrote about patience, how it's a sign of strength. You're right. Patience is all I have some days. She touches the corner of her mouth, remembering the way his voice sounded on the phone. Measured, never hurried, never soft enough to betray real feeling. She can't decide if that makes her love him more or less. I hope your week was better than mine. You work so hard. Someday you'll get that garden you want, and when you do, I'll help you build it. Maybe I'll be out in time to see the first tomatoes. She snorts, not unkindly. The maybe is new. Usually he's all certainty, promises carved in stone. The doubt makes him more human, more hers. She finishes the letter, then reads it again, whispering the last lines under her breath as if they're a prayer. Miss you every day. You're the only person who really understands. Dejuan. Sandra folds the letter, presses it flat, and pins it to the board. She stands, pours herself half a cup of tea, and stares out the window at the sodium glow of the street lamps. The morning bus will come in 6 hours. She will ride it to the diner, pour coffee for men who forget her name, spend 8 hours dodging the manager's hands, and then come home to this kitchen, where the only thing waiting is the slow pile of letters. This is how she likes it. Routine, predictable, safe. She finishes her tea, washes the mug, dries it, and sets it upside down on the rack. At the table, she opens her checkbook and writes a money order for $200 made out to a rehab fund she knows is a lie. She slips it into an envelope, along with a new photograph, a selfie, hair blown out and lips stained purple, and seals it with a kiss. She hesitates, then grabs a pen and writes a quick postscript on the flap. P.S. Sometimes I wish you'd need me more. She sits with the envelope for a long moment, rolling it between her palms, before placing it on the entryway table. It will go in the morning, dropped in the blue mailbox at the corner, then carried away by hands she'll never see. He'll write back. He always writes back. When the letter reaches 12B, it's evening count, and the tier is flooded with the icy glare of fluorescent tubes. Little Mike slides the envelope through the bars, then stands back, arms folded. Dejuan rips it open with a single swipe of his thumb, unfolds the sheet, and reads in silence. He underlines 2 sentences. I feel hollow without you. I spend my nights rereading your words. He smiles barely. Mike leans against the bars, eyes on the guards. Good news? Dejuan grunts. She's on the hook. Upped it to 2 bills this week. Mike gives a low whistle. Shit, you got more juice than the old man ever did. Dejuan folds the letter, tucks it under his mattress, and pulls out the ledger. He scribbles in the margin, Sandra, double next cycle. Increase sentiment, use lonely and hope. He taps the page, then says, almost to himself, add her to the rotation. Increase the pressure. She's ready to send more. Mike smirks. You ever feel bad playing them like that? Dejuan doesn't look up. They get what they want. So do I. He puts the ledger away, then sits on the edge of the bunk, head bowed. His hands are steady, knuckles pale under the skin. The tear goes quiet, except for the distant clang of a mop bucket and the soft, practiced footsteps of Patricia Jones making her rounds. Dejuan thinks of the letter, the postscript, the way Sandra's handwriting slants up and right at the end of every sentence, like she's always hoping for the next word. He knows she'll send another one tomorrow. He knows she can't help herself. He closes his eyes and sees the garden she wants, rows of bright tomatoes ripening under the sun. He sees himself in the picture, hands in the dirt, the sky above so clear it hurts. He laughs once, sharp and short. He is so far from the sunlight, he might as well be underground. But the garden is real. If he keeps the lines tight, keeps the ledger clean, keeps the women in the rotation, he'll get there. Or he'll die trying. Either way, he's not alone. Not tonight. Keisha Washington is late. Again. She stands in front of the bathroom mirror, one foot braced on the toilet tank, eyes locked on her own reflection as she blends foundation down her neck with the heel of her palm. The sink is a battlefield of mascara wands, powder compacts, lipsticks in shades of heat and violence. She scans for a single flaw, then starts over with the blush, dabbing and swiping until her cheekbones catch the apartment's dirty yellow light just so. She rehearses it in her head. He actually listens to me, says I'm the only one who understands him. The words hang in the bathroom, vaporized with every exhale. In the bedroom, piles of shoes, Nike, Louboutin, even a box of ancient Payless, lean against laundry baskets overflowing with clothes she never wears. The air smells like burned, flat iron and desperation. She flips through her phone, ignoring the text thread with her sister, and checks her reflection again. Brows, perfect. Lips, sharp. Eyes, big enough to look innocent, hard enough to survive. She pulls her hair tight, then lets it fall again, indecisive. The clock says 8:41. If she wants to catch the Western Union window, she has 20 minutes to make it across town, dodging the pre-work traffic and the stares from the men on the corner. She grabs her purse, heavy with receipts, makeup, and the new iPhone she hasn't paid for yet, then hesitates. She pulls a thick wad of cash from the bottom drawer, rubber-banded and crisp, and shoves it into a zippered pouch lined with silk. Last look in the mirror. A single hair is out of place. She yanks it hard. She calls Tasha on speaker, sliding her feet into the nude pumps with the scuffed heel. Girl, you up? A yawn on the other end. Just barely. Keisha runs her tongue along her teeth, annoyed. I'm heading out. Gotta drop something for him, then work. Tasha sighs, the sound thick with envy and skepticism. He still got you doing this? Keisha glances at her phone, checks the time. He needs me. He ain't like the others. Tasha laughs. Nobody in jail ever is. He's different, Keisha says, too quickly. She kills the call before Tasha can answer, snatches her keys, and storms out. She rides the elevator with a neighbor who smells like menthols and bad sex and makes it to the street with seconds to spare. The Western Union office is a tiny, bulletproof glass fortress inside a corner bodega. The clerk is bored, nails painted the color of antifreeze. Keisha slides her ID and the cash across the tray, never making eye contact. Who's the recipient? The clerk asks, gum popping. Terrell Brooks, Keisha says. Cleveland. The clerk counts the bills, eyes narrowing at the stack. You know this is going to cost you $25 just to send? Keisha smiles, wide and fake. Worth it. She fills out the slip, checks it twice, and hands it over. The clerk stamps it with unnecessary force, tears off the receipt, and slides it back. Anything else? The clerk says with a sneer. Keisha tucks the receipt into her purse and turns away. No, that's it. Outside, the sky is already turning, the old sunrise blue giving way to something meaner. Keisha stands for a second, clutching her purse to her ribs, and lets herself feel hollow. Just for a second. In 12B, the day is already old by the time little Mike slides the confirmation slip through the bars. Dejuan takes it, glances at the numbers, and makes a sound between a laugh and a cough. $3 grand this month from her alone, he says, shaking his head. Mike sits on the bunk, knees together, hands folded. She sent more last week. You want me to write her back? Dejuan cracks a smile. Keep feeding her that one-of-a-kind bullshit. She'll double it next time. Mike nods, already reaching for a pen. Dejuan opens the ledger, writes, Keisha, 3K confirmed. Leverage, high. Increase frequency, offer phone call. He looks up, voice flat. Tell her I'm thinking about her. That nobody ever made me feel like she does. Mike's handwriting is neat, with little hearts over every I. You want me to use the garden line again? Dejuan considers. Not this time. Mix it up. Mention the shoes. Mike grins, tongue poking between his teeth. You a cold motherfucker, you know that? Dejuan shrugs. People want to be wanted. That's all it is. He snaps the ledger closed, then leans back, stretching his arms behind his head. Mike stands, letter in hand, and waits at the door for the next runner. Dejuan watches the shadows move across the floor, a slow crawl of light that marks the hours until count. The world keeps moving, even in here. He closes his eyes and thinks about the last line of Keisha's letter. I wish I could see you just once, for real. He wonders if she'd recognize him in a crowd, or if he's just a voice in her head, a fantasy kept alive by habit and hope. He doubts it matters. He has the ledger. He has the routine. He has the next name already lined up. He tells Mike to prepare the next round. There's always a next round. Patricia Jones does her best work at night. The prison is quieter then, the worst of the day's chaos boiled away, leaving only the faint hiss of HVAC and the low rumble of men who don't know how to sleep. She walks the 12B corridor with the same rhythm she's used for years. 3 paces, pause, listen, repeat. The routine keeps her mind sharp, keeps her from thinking about what she's left behind at home. Her uniform is crisp, every button closed, the badge at her chest polished until it catches even the sickliest light. She checks the cells in order, never skipping, always giving each number a full 2 seconds before moving on. The men in this block learned long ago not to mess with her. Most don't even make eye contact, except for Rivers. He sits on the edge of his bunk, arms loose, legs spread wide in the posture of someone born to command space. Even in orange, he manages to look dignified. He doesn't stand when she arrives. Instead, he inclines his head just enough to acknowledge her authority, but not enough to cede an inch of his own. She clears her throat, running through the script. Cell 12B secure, no violations. Rivers smiles, slow and real. You always make it sound so official, Ms. Jones. She ignores the bait, keeps her face neutral. It is official. He shifts, letting the bars frame his face and torso. I appreciate a woman who does her job. She lets a beat pass. I hear you have a degree in criminal justice. He laughs, low and pleasant. 2 semesters at State, didn't take. She glances at her clipboard, feigning interest. Maybe you'll finish on the outside. He shrugs. Maybe you will too. She lets herself smile, just a flicker. We both know I'm stuck here. Rivers tilts his head, studying her. You got kids? She stiffens, surprised. Yes, 2. Why? He shrugs, nonchalant. You carry yourself like a mother. Protective, always watching for what's coming next. She looks down, embarrassment rising in her cheeks. I'm just doing my job. He softens, voice dropping. How old? She swallows. 9 and 6. He nods, as if he's memorizing the data for some later use. They're lucky to have you. She wants to say thank you, but the words stick. Instead, she asks, You ever miss it? Being outside? He grins, showing the gold. Every minute. But in here, things are simple. You know where you stand. She leans closer, lowering her voice. I have a problem. He listens, all attention. I'm listening. My back, she says, almost whispering. Herniated disc, I think. They want me to see a specialist, but I can't afford it. She stops, the confession thick in her mouth. You think you could get me something? Just to help me sleep? He holds her gaze, serious now. I respect you too much to lie. Yes, I can help. But I need to know you trust me. She nods, quick and guilty. I do. He reaches through the bars, fingers open. She hesitates, then puts her hand in his. His grip is warm, steady, not threatening. For a moment, she lets herself imagine what it would be like if things were different, if she were the one behind the bars, or if there were no bars at all. He releases her hand gently and sits back. I'll have something for you tomorrow. Night shift again? She nods. He smiles. Then we're square. Her face flushes as she steps away. Before she leaves, she reaches under her shirt and pulls out a small plastic-wrapped package, contraband cigarettes, and slides it under his mattress. Their fingers touch, just for an instant. She leaves without looking back, her heart pounding in her chest. She knows what she's done. She knows what it means. But in the moment, it feels almost good. Back in the guard station, she sinks into her chair and lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Her hands shake, so she tucks them under her thighs. Outside, the men in 12B settle into their bunks, and the lights dim from fluorescent white to a bruised, uncertain gray. Patricia stares at the clock, counting down the hours until her shift ends. She wonders if he'll keep his promise. She wonders if she wants him to. Patricia sits in the darkness of her parked car, engine off, both hands wrapped around a disposable cell phone swaddled in black electrical tape. The phone is heavy, not in mass, but in the way it bends her ribs around a tight, impossible secret. She should throw it in the dumpster, call in sick, drive to the Denny's at the edge of town and eat pancakes until the sun rises. Instead, she stares at the dash clock and counts the seconds until she can't put it off any longer. Her hands sweat inside the latex gloves she's worn since home. She peels them off, wipes her palms on her pants, and slips the phone into her uniform pocket next to the pack of menthols she's promised herself not to smoke. The keys to the facility dangle from her lanyard, clinking a warning as she steps out into the sodium vapor night. Inside the Sally port, she signs in, badge to scanner, barely registering the guard on desk. Rough night? He asks, not expecting an answer. Always is, she mutters, and keeps moving. The cell block is colder than last shift, the air heavy with disinfectant, and a slow leak of mildew from the vents. She makes her rounds by rote, greeting each tier with a practiced calm, pausing at every cell just long enough to prove she's awake. The men are silent. Most are sleeping or faking it. One glares at her from the dark with an accusation she's long since learned to ignore. At the far end of the hall, she waits until the corridor is clear. then slips through the side door to the supply closet. The bare bulb flickers overhead, exposing every smear and scuff in the tile. The closet smells of bleach, old rags, and the sour ghost of 100 mopped-up messes. She pulls the door closed behind her, presses her back to the cinder block, and waits. He steps from the shadow by the mop sink, close enough that she can smell the faint burn of his deodorant and the powdery tang of his breath. He's changed since last time. Shirt tucked, hair neat, an intensity in his eyes that makes her want to look away and never stop looking at the same time. She holds the phone out, her arm trembling. "Here, just like you said." He takes it, careful not to touch her skin. "You did good." She shakes her head, fighting the urge to cry. "It's not right. I could lose everything." He tucks the phone into the waistband of his pants, then leans in, lowering his voice to a hush. "You're different from the others here. You understand what it means to do whatever it takes for family." She lets out a shaky laugh, bitter. "You don't know shit about my family." He steps closer until she can feel the heat coming off his body. "You got the look of someone who's had to make hard choices. I respect that." She wants to hit him, or maybe hug him. Instead, she says, "Just don't make me regret this." He smiles, soft and warm. "I won't." She feels a tear threaten, so she looks up at the bare bulb, blinking until her vision clears. She turns to go, but he stops her with a hand on her arm. The touch is electric, dangerous, and she's too tired to resist. "Stay a minute," he says, and gently presses her back against the wall. Her mouth goes dry. He's close now, close enough that she can count the tiny scars on his jaw, the way his lips part before he speaks. He whispers, "You ever think about what it'd be like if things were different?" She doesn't answer. She can't. He kisses her, sudden and desperate. She freezes, then melts, letting herself drown in the feeling, warmth, danger, relief. His hands are careful, but insistent, moving to her waist, then lower. She lets him. It lasts for 3 heartbeats, maybe 4. Then the radio on her belt hisses to life, and the spell is broken. She jerks away, heart pounding, the taste of him sharp on her lips. He grins, unashamed, and steps back. She straightens her uniform, smoothing the fabric with shaking hands. As she leaves, her ring finger catches on the frayed edge of his sleeve, and for a split second, she feels the static charge between them. Then she's out in the hallway, breath ragged, eyes stinging. She finishes her rounds in a daze, every step heavier than the last. Back in the guard station, she checks her face in the convex mirror. Nothing is out of place, but she feels raw, scraped down to nerve. She sits, hands folded, and waits for the world to end. But it doesn't. The next day, she finds a note under her windshield wiper. "Thank you." The words are blocky, familiar, and so tender it makes her ache. She rips it up, but keeps the pieces in her glove compartment just in case. Conjugal visit rooms are a lie. Even the name is a joke. Nobody fucks here. They barely talk. The space is painted the color of old oatmeal, cinder block walls marred by the ghosts of gum and pencil graffiti. The tables are bolted to the floor, and the benches are so close to the plexiglass divider that you can taste your own breath on the other side. Quanda Dejuan sits straight-backed, hands folded, the fingers laced so tight her knuckles are white. Her eyes are sharp and dry. She's spent all morning rehearsing what she'll say, but the words taste different in the stale, institutional air. Dejuan enters in orange, escorted by a guard who can't hide his smirk. He sits opposite her, a thin smile on his lips and a hunger in his eyes that might be real or might just be the artifact of 6 months without a woman on the outside. She waits until the guard turns his back, then slides a file folder onto the table. "They said I had 20 minutes, so let's not waste time." He glances at the folder, then at her. You look good, Kwanda. Even in this lighting. She ignores the flattery. I know what you're doing. He leans back, making a show of being unbothered. Doing what? She opens the folder. Inside are 3 newspaper clippings, the ink faded at the edges. She arranges them in a line, like evidence in a trial. These are all from the last month. Rivers' family name comes up in everyone. Drugs, smuggling, 3 guards on your payroll minimum. He studies the clippings, then shrugs. I can't control what people print. She taps the first article, her nail sharp against the plastic. This one's about Lance. He's not even subtle anymore. You really want your nephew to grow up in this? He frowns, the first crack in his calm. What do you want, Kwanda? She's ready for the question. I want you to stop using me as your alibi. I want you to stop sending your cousins to my house with gifts. And I want you to start acting like you give a shit about your own son. He lets the silence build. His gaze drops to her hands, then rises to her face, searching for weakness. He's better off without me, Dejuan says, voice low. She doesn't blink. Bullshit. You just don't want him to see you like this. He smiles, bitter. Nobody wants to see anyone like this. She softens just a little. You think I'm doing great? I'm working 2 jobs and putting up with your mess every day. He leans forward, voice dangerous. I never asked you to wait. She matches him, inch for inch. But you wanted me to, didn't you? You wanted me to be loyal. He glances at the articles again. You were always too smart for that. She nods, swallowing the hurt. I need to know if you're going to drag me down with you. Because if you are, I'm leaving. For good. His fingers curl around the edge of the metal table, knuckles pale. You got someone else? She almost laughs. If I did, you think I'd still be coming here? He stares at her, jaw working. You never change, Kwanda. She lets the insult land, then shakes her head. Maybe you should. The timer on the wall buzzes, loud and ugly. She stands, gathering her things. There are worse things than prison, Dejuan, and you're building your own cage. He looks up, caught off guard. She smiles, real this time. See you in the news, she says, and waves to the guard. As she leaves, she feels lighter than she has in months. There's no joy in it, just a sharp clarity. She'll sleep tonight, she knows it. Behind the plexiglass, Dejuan is already closing the file, stacking the clippings in careful, orderly rows. He's not the only one who knows how to keep score. Nobody warns you how bright the government offices are. Valerie Perkins sits in a molded plastic chair, head bowed to the table, eyelids burning from the flicker of the fluorescence overhead. Her hands shake so hard she can't hold the pen steady, and the form keeps sliding across the fake wood grain. She tries to keep her breathing even, like the psychiatrist showed her, but every inhale tastes like bleach, and every exhale comes out a thin, breaking whine. The caseworker is maybe 25, hair in a perfect black puff, skin flawless. Her badge says Rivera, first name smudged by the lamination. She taps the edge of the manila file, flipping through a stack of pages clipped together. Just sign the bottom, Miss Perkins. Then we're done. Valerie forces herself to read the page. Temporary surrender of parental rights. Temporary is a lie. She knows that, even if nobody says it. She signs. Her last name a ghost of loops and slashes. Rivera smiles, kind but not real. Thank you, that's the last one, I promise. Valerie wipes her eyes on the sleeve of her hoodie. She's been wearing it for 3 days. There's a coffee stain at the cuff and something dark that might be blood from when she punched the bathroom mirror at the shelter. Her hair is pulled into a bun, but strands stick out at every angle. Her leggings are inside out, and the label rubs her ankle raw. The social worker closes the file, setting it aside like a finished meal. Is there anything you want me to tell him before he goes? Valerie shakes her head. No, then yes. Just that I love him, and I'll get him back. Rivera nods, the way you nod at a crazy person who's going to start screaming soon. The guard outside the door watches the whole thing, arms folded, eyes flat. When the meeting is done, he opens the door with a flourish, ushering them into the hallway. Valerie feels the cold hit her skin and shivers. The hospital smell, the waxed tile floors, the endless echoing corridors. It all makes her feel smaller than she did 5 minutes ago. They pass the playroom, where kids in donated sweatshirts hunch over battered toys. She looks for Dee, but he's not there. Probably already gone, flown to the next placement like a box on the conveyor belt. Rivera touches her shoulder. He's safe, Ms. Perkins. He's with a foster family in Marietta. Valerie grits her teeth. He hates Marietta. He'll be okay. He's very strong. He said you taught him to dance when he's sad. Valerie smiles at that, real and wet. He's better at it than me. Rivera's voice softens. You can write to him. Or call, if you want. Here's the address. She hands over a printout. Dee's name spelled wrong at the top. Thanks, Valerie whispers. She walks to the end of the hall, sits in the women's bathroom, and sobs until her head is empty. She can't go home. There is no home. So she dries her face, looks in the mirror, and starts over. She walks to the library. The smell of paper and dust is a comfort. She finds a table in the corner, pulls out the printout, and flips it over. Then she digs in her purse for a pen and the crumpled photo of Dee. In the photo, he's 7, smile wide, arms thrown up in the middle of a spin. She smooths the photo, tracing the outline of his face with her finger. She writes, Dejuan --. They took my baby today. Said I'm unfit. How can they judge me when they don't know what it's like? You were the only one who ever got it. I know you're busy with your own mess, but if you have any say with the old man, please, talk to him. Tell him I won't do anything stupid. Tell him I'll take the meds, all of them. I'll even go back to the group if that's what it takes. You remember when we used to skip class and hide out in the park, and you'd buy me those mango sodas, and we'd just sit for hours not talking about anything? I want one more day like that. Dee is your blood too, your cousin. Don't let him disappear into the system like I did, please. I know I fucked up, but I can fix it. Just help me, please. Val? She reads it twice, then once more, adding lines in the margins where the pen slips. By the end, her handwriting is barely legible. She folds the letter, slips it into an envelope, and licks the flap. Her tongue tastes salt, and she realizes she's crying again. She looks at the photo of Dee, then at the letter, and presses the envelope to her lips. She drops it in the mailbox on the corner, then wanders until the streetlights come on. At dusk, she finds herself at the park, sitting on the swings, kicking her feet out and watching the sky turn purple. She closes her eyes and tries to remember the sound of Dee's laugh, the weight of his head on her shoulder. She thinks about Dejuan, about the kind of help he can give, the kind of help that doesn't leave fingerprints. She decides she will get Dee back, no matter what it costs. She will make the system notice her, even if it kills her. The air is cold. She shivers but doesn't leave. She swings until her arms ache, and when the clouds break, she imagines the sun coming through bright and clean. Tomorrow she will start over. Tomorrow she will fight. Tonight, she just wants to believe. She closes her eyes and tries to remember what hope feels like. Thanks for tuning in to this exclusive No Tears for Black Girls episode. If you want to dive deeper into J.C. Reedburg's gripping story, head over to Amazon Kindle and grab your free digital copy of No Tears for Black Girls, Prison Pimp'd. It's available at no cost for everyone until October 6th, after which it'll be a Kindle exclusive. Before we go, let's set the mood with Prophet Prophet's Prison Pimp'd, a track straight off our upcoming No Tears for Black Girls soundtrack dropping later this month. Get ready to vibe with us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and all your favorite streaming platforms. Stay loved, stay blessed, and stay safe. This is Samantha Paul.
Yeah. Either get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Yeah. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Listen up. Rule number one to survive in the pen, man. Listen, make your tribe your gang or find God in the pain. Choose in your life or embrace what's real. Upon sentencing, young players need to feel this. Real pimps know the truth, that's why I speak it. That's real. Keep your chin up, eyes sharp, don't show weakness. Smile too long in the yard, that's how you get beat. Don't take that commissary gift, that's how you get eat. No revenge in the pen, just twisted justice, man. Seen a young player first day on the yard. Freshman thought his street game would make him hard. Big homie left honey buns by his bump. Now he owe a debt, about to get pumped. Can't pay. They call cavity search straight violation. Damn. CO sacked the cell, pure humiliation. No way. Family photos torn, letters on the concrete. Welcome to the system where the game ain't sweet. Nah. Either get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Yeah. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Listen. Either get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Profit. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Real talk. You born alone, die alone. Every tear's a new year, man. Everyone slides by, realize you never cry alone. This pain, missing baby girls, first steps, son's graduation day. Phone calls getting shorter, family drifting away. Mama getting older, can't help with the rent. Can't help. 25 to life sentence, wonder where the time went. My lady stopped visiting, I know what that means. When she lonely, she horny, somebody's in between. Christmas behind bars, holidays hurt the most. Watch grown men break down like they seen a ghost. Some count days, some count years on the calendar. Count them. Some just count reasons why they amateur. So many collect calls expensive, 15 minutes max. Expensive. Family moving forward while I'm stuck in the past. Time moves different when you caged like a beast. Different. Same routine daily, but somehow you deceased. Time flies. You get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Yeah. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Listen. You get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Profit. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Real talk. Saw a man turn boy, street general to toy man. Damn. Watch kings become servants, pride destroyed in this game. Street reputation don't mean nothing in this void. Nothing. Tough players turn sweeper protection, can't avoid. Young got on K2, had to pay the price they pay. Protection rackets, racial politics every day. So tight. Dining hall, seating charts, who you sit beside. Politics, wrong table choice, that's how players die. Right. But it's never too late for right decisions though. Never. Get your education, change your mission, grow. Change it. Old school pimp, schooling young cats on the real. How to do your time without losing what you feel. Real. Some find God, some find books for the mind. Some find strength in the pain, leave the past behind. Concrete jungle where only strong survive the test. Keep your soul intact, that's how you beat the rest. Stay strong. You get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Yeah. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Listen. You get prison, pimped, or you pimp the system. Profit. Life on the cell block can cause you death if you don't listen. Real talk. From the yard to the block, profit, survive. Prison pimp to pimp the system. I decided, real pimp with the wisdom, that's what I provide. Real recognize real, that's how profit ride. Profit.